Hi, I'm Annie, and in this 60-minute full vinyasa flow class, we're going to be moving through the whole body and concentrating on really conscious movement and breath. So rather than getting the power from how quickly we're moving, we're going to be moving really kind of slowly and consciously at times. And the strength of the practice comes from how we can focus on the way that we're moving our body as though every little bit is a deliberate decision. So rather than thinking about one pose and then the next, it's the transition between each pose and each moment that really counts. And we're going to start the practice by coming onto the back of the body. So almost like a shavasana, but we're not quite finished yet. You're going to come down onto the back of the body and just take a couple of moments here. And in yoga, we use the word grounding a lot, but it's this idea that we're being really supported by the earth beneath us. And in order to sense that support, we have to let go a little bit. So can you soften a little bit here and just let yourself be held by the earth beneath you? And then just begin to find your breath. So you start to let your mind rest on your breath as you breathe in and out through the nose. And if you have a practice of ujjayi breath, you can find a soft ujjayi. Otherwise, just keeping the lips sealed and letting the breath draw in and out through the nose. And then start to bring your right knee in towards the chest. And give it a big squeeze here. Maybe taking it more towards your armpit and then in towards the center of your chest. And then keeping the right hand on the knee, just begin to take little circles with the hip. And then back the other way. And then take the two hands behind the back of the leg, flex the foot up to the floor, and do the same thing with the ankle. So just bringing a little bit of movement, letting the shoulders drop down against the floor. And then bend the knee. Take the left hand onto the knee, take the right arm out to the side, and gently draw the knee over to the left. And especially if you're sensitive in the lower back, just be really mindful of where you're taking the leg here. It doesn't have to be too deep. The knee doesn't have to come to the ground. Let the gaze drop over towards your right hand. And just follow the breath. Let it move through the side of the body as you soften into this twist. And then bring yourself back to center. Have another squeeze of the leg. And then lengthen it out to the floor, flexing the foot and bringing left knee in towards your chest. So same again, knee to the armpit, knee to the center of the chest, and then maybe bringing that into little circles in the hip. A couple in one direction. Using the fullness of your breath and trying to stabilize the hips against the earth, or the back of the body against the ground, and just let the movement be isolated. And then coming back to center, take both hands behind the thigh and do the same thing with the ankle. So isolated conscious movement of the ankle, just working into a little bit of stretch and mobility here. And maybe just waking up the toes a little bit here. And then bend the knee again. Take the right hand onto the knee. Take left arm out to the side. And twist the leg across the body just as far as feels comfortable on this side. And using the breath through the side of the body. Just soft and easy, no force. And then bring the leg back to center. Bring right knee up to meet the left. Have a little rock from side to side, massage the back of the body. And then taking the hands behind the knees, start to rock and roll up the spine, beginning to activate the core, massage through the back of the body. And then eventually you'll land on your seat, crossing the legs, and letting the spine reach up to the sky. Letting the sit bones connect to the earth. Gather your hands at the center of the chest. And with the intention of this practice being to move really consciously, really mindfully, can we perhaps just connect to that intention more fully in mind and in body by just being here in observation and intention? And just allow ourselves the space to explore without judgment and to become a little bit more aware of the sensations within our practice and our experience. And then take a nice deep breath in through the nose and let it go, big sigh. And then we're going to bring ourselves onto all fours. So tabletop position, stacking the shoulders above the wrists, the hips above the knees. And for a moment, just be here, setting up the pose. So feel the distribution of weight becoming even between the points of contact with the ground. And maybe you explore rocking forwards and backwards, whether the toes want to be tucked or toenails to the floor. And then coming to center, start to draw in the lower navel. And as you send your chest forward and the tailbone back, use the whole of the inhale breath. And as you exhale, round the spine, taking the gaze to the navel. So starting to move through a cat-cow to wake up the spine. Inhaling, lengthening the chest forward. And exhaling to round through the spine, pushing the ground away. One more time, inhale, broadening the collarbones, lifting the gaze. And exhaling, rounding the spine, gaze to the navel. And you continue in this pattern or start to move a little bit more freely, perhaps flexing the body to the sides with the breath. And just starting to awaken yourself to the sensations that are already here, already exist. Can you notice the temperature of the air against your skin or the touch of the hands on the earth? Or the space you're creating along the surface of the skin? And feeling the expansion of the breath through the sides of the body. And over your next couple of breaths, beginning to make your way to a downward facing dog. So in your time with your breath, starting to tuck the toes and send the seat up to the sky. Arriving at the end of your exhale. Maybe bending the knees, one then the other. Just taking your time. And rather than thinking of arriving in a pose, can you think more of each little movement on your way there and each moment of breath in that space, in that shape? So there's no destination. It's a continuous movement, shape-shifting, conscious placement of body and breath in space. And then begin to walk your feet slowly to the mat and really trying to hollow in through the navel so it's like you're picking up your feet and placing them to the floor. And maybe towards the end you might need to bend your knees a little bit to help you get there, but arriving with the feet hip width apart and letting the head hang heavy. And bending the knees, even if you're super open in the
back of the body, just bending them so that you can really take the weight into the front of your feet. Maybe the hands are on the ground, maybe you take opposite elbows. And then releasing the arms. Soften your knees and slowly start to roll up the spine, connecting feet to the earth and energizing up the body, engaging the thighs, engaging the glutes, and letting the shoulders lift up and down the back of the body. And gathering 2 feet to touch at the top of the mat. Start to connect the hands at the center of the chest. And let your mind come to rest on the movement of breath in and out of your body. And at the same time as finding that rhythm of breath, can you feel the feet connecting to the earth and then use that to pull up through the thighs, lifting Mula Bandha, so the pelvic floor lifts. The diaphragm drops up and underneath the rib cage and the belly button draws in towards the spine. Knitting your lower ribs in, take a breath and raise the arms over your head. As you exhale, fold forwards, placing your hands either side of the feet and bending the knees as you fold. Look up on an inhale breath, extend through the side body. And exhale, pour back down over your toe. So moving slow, inhale, rise all the way up on the fullness of your breath. And exhale, gather hands through center of the chest. Inhale, raise the prayer over your head. Exhale, folding forwards, keeping the chest open and the spine long. Look up halfway on an inhale. This time as you exhale, plant the palms and step the feet to the back of the mat, finding a high plank pose. So the feet come together, push through the heels and drop your hips so that there's one line from the shoulders to the heels. Pushing the ground away, so there's a sort of mushroom shape of the upper back. So if you're hanging out into your chest, push the ground away and make it really nice and strong. Take another inhale, and as you exhale, lower your knees to the floor, point your toes and bring your chest to the ground. Sliding shoulders away from the ears, lengthen the spine as you lift halfway, baby cobra pose. And exhale, lower your chest to the floor. Same again, cobra pose, inhale, lengthen out of the waist. This time, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Arriving on the exhale, take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Or maybe a sigh it out the mouth. And start to walk the feet forwards again, but find that conscious placement of the feet. So rather than throwing yourself into a forward fold at the top of the mat, can you arrive slowly and melt the upper body over the toes? And as you root through the feet, roll all the way up to standing, bone by bone, stacks in the spine as you raise the arms over your head. And exhale, folding down over your toes. Look up halfway, telescoping the ribs away from the hips, and exhale, folding over your toes. Root through the feet, roll all the way up to standing on an inhale breath. This time as you exhale, folding down, framing the feet. Look up halfway, inhale breath. And exhale, plant the palms, step back to your high plank, your choice. You can lower the knees or move from high to low plank, chaturanga. Keeping the chest open as you slide forwards into baby cobra pose or lift the thighs upward facing dog. Then exhale, draw your hips back, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. From here, raise your right leg to the sky, but move slow like there's resistance all the way through the air. Bend your knee and open up your hip, but keep the shoulders square to the top of the mat. Inhale, raise your leg high. And exhale, scoop the belly as you bring your knee to nose and step the foot between the hands. If it doesn't make it in one go, you can help it through with the support of the hands. Then from here, drop your back knee to the earth. Point your toes away from you at the back and reach your arms over your head. Interlacing the fingers, bring the first finger up towards the sky. Then draw in through the lower ribs. So rather than collapsing into the back and going deep, hammocking into this space here, draw the ribs in and keep it really supported, engaging the inner thighs. We'll take 3 breaths here. Take an inhale. As you exhale, peel your hips back, bringing the hands either side of the right leg. Sending chest forward, come onto the heel of the right foot, half Hanumanasana, this hamstring stretch. And depending on the shape of your body and the kind of patterns of tension that you're holding, this might be the space for you, or maybe you go a little bit deeper, sitting the seat to the heel. The back toes can be tucked if that's more comfortable. You choose. The intention is to open up the back of the body and keep the chest open and the spine long. Then inhale, press into the right foot. Take your arms over your head. Inhale. As you exhale, draw it back. Find the hamstring stretch. Let the chest come forwards over the shin. Inhale. Squeeze your inner thighs. Lift up out of the waist. And exhale, slowly moving back. One more time, inhale. So there's no pause. It's this continuous movement between the two. Exhale, drawing back. This time we hold it here. Inhale, lift your chest. And exhale, soften in a little bit deeper. And then let the breath be the movement here. So each exhale gives you the opportunity to soften. And then press into your right foot. Frame the hands either side, tuck the back toes and lift the back knee. From here, scoop your core, lift this right foot just an inch from the ground. And then step it slowly to the back of the mat. Take a breath in, push through the heels. Exhale, lower through a vinyasa. Elbows draw in towards the weight, chest forward. Inhale, lift the heart space. And exhale back, downward facing dog. If it feels good, take a breath in through the nose. And exhale, let it go. And then this time, left leg rises. So using the full inhale to lift it high. Bend the knee and open up your hips, squaring the shoulders. Inhale, raise the leg again. And then exhale, scoop the core, step the foot between your palms. Good. Make it a conscious delivery of the foot to the mat. Let the back knee drop down. Scoop in through the pelvis as you take the arms over your head. Interlacing maybe one finger along this time. The awkward way, lift the first fingers up towards the sky. Squeezing inner thighs, lengthening through the navel without hammocking into the lower back. Shoulders drop away from the ears. One more breath. Start to peel the hips back. Exhale, folding over the left leg, peeling toes towards you. Lift your chest forward and exhale to fold a little bit deeper. Press into left foot, send your hips forward. Inhale, reach the arms over your head. And exhale, peel the hips back, find the heel of the left foot. 2 more times, flowing between the two. Inhale, reach the arms high. And exhale, peeling it back. One more inhale. And exhale. This time, let's hold it here, a couple of breaths. And drawing the right hip in line with the left. And then press into the left foot, frame it at the top of the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee and push through the heel, so firing up the inner thighs. If you can, scoop the foot just an inch away from the floor first, and then place it to the back of the mat. Take an inhale and you choose. You can find a child's pose, or take a vinyasa, lowering from high to low plank, lengthening out of the waist, drawing the chest open, and taking the hips high. Downward facing dog. So either 5 breaths here in downward facing dog, or take the knees nice and wide. Send the hips to the heels. And walk the hands back towards the feet. And just take a moment to reconnect to the breath. Remembering your intention. And noticing this continuous flow of movement and energy, this breath, this prana through the body. And wherever you are, take a breath in through the nose and let it go. And if you're not already there, start to find your downward facing dog again. Moving slow, noticing the whole of the process of arriving there. Maybe another breath in and another sigh. And then let's raise the right leg to the sky. Bend the knee, open up the hip just like before. Inhale, raise it high. And exhale, scoop the core, step the foot between the palms. This time, stay on the ball of the back foot and start to rise up into a high lunge, pushing the ground away with the right foot. Lengthening the back leg, but taking a little micro bend in the back knee so that you're finding space in the front of the left thigh. Then start to take the body forwards to 45 degrees, drawing right hip back in line with left. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, gently float the hands back, parallel to the back leg. Inhale, push through the front foot as you raise the arms up. And exhale, floating them back. So really conscious movement of the body. Feel the pressing of the feet against the floor, connecting the energy all the way up the supporting legs. This time as you inhale, come all the way back up to a high lunge. Exhale, drop your back heel, find a warrior two. So widening the step if you need to, stack the right knee above the right ankle. And then feel the outer left foot connecting with the ground and using that to fire up the whole of the left leg. Good, drawing the right hip back, really creating support through this front thigh. Take an inhale, flip your front palm and reverse your warrior back. As you exhale, find the forearm to the thigh. Sweep your left arm down and around to open up the chest. And then continue that circle as you reverse back into your warrior. Exhale, forearm to thigh. Sweep left arm down and around and peel the chest open. And then inhale one more time, float it back. Exhale, forearm to thigh, extended side ankle, peel the chest open. Inhale, take it all the way through reverse warrior. This time as you exhale, land the hands to the inside of the right foot. Pivot on the ball of the back foot and square the hips. So finding this lizard pose, option to stay on the hands, option to drop to the forearms, but wherever you are, rather than like hanging out in the hips, see if you can zip up through the inner thighs, tuck in the core, and make it really strong and supported. And then wherever you are, drop your back knee to the floor. Start to work the right arm up and alongside the ear, making a big circle as you peel back and reach for the foot behind you. And it doesn't matter if you can't reach the foot. You can always use a strap or a belt to help, but otherwise just keeping the chest open, peeling the upper ribs around the spine. Gazing over the right shoulder. And then slowly letting it release. Take the hand back to the inside of the foot. Drop the back heel, turn your right toes in slightly. We're going to take a ninja squat. So depending on the mobility or the flexion in your ankle, this is going to look super different for everyone. It's a pose I find particularly hard. But the more that you engage through the inner thighs, the more likely you are to find a little bit more balance here. You can always place a block underneath the heel if the heel is lifted. And maybe you explore bringing the hands to connect at the chest. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Keep those left toes flexed. And then from here, place your left hand back down to the floor. Take your right hand to the other side of the mat. Pivot all the way back round. Bring your right fingertips up to the sky. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Then take the gaze down to your right big toe. Catch hold of the big toe with the 2 peace fingers. Drop to the outside of your left foot, and you can choose. Either the right foot stays on the floor and you take a supported Vashisthasana here, or you keep hold of the toes and bring yourself up to a Vashisthasana variation with the sole of the foot to the inside of the thigh. If you want to stay here, you can stay here, or start to drop that foot gently behind you to open up to a wild thing. Take a breath in, draw left shoulder blade down the back of the body for support. Then start to reach your hand towards your right knee. Take hold of the toes again and step the foot as slowly as you can to the top of the mat. Drop your back knee to the floor. Point your toes behind you. Reach the arms over your head. As you exhale, fold forwards, take your hips back, peel your right toes away from the earth. Then press into the foot, tuck your back toes, scoop your belly, and take the right leg all the way up and back, 3-legged dog. Bend your knee, open up your hip. Inhale, raise the leg high. And then slowly place it down to the floor. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And exhale. Left side. So inhaling to begin reaching the left leg all the way up. Moving slow, bend the knee, no pause, exhale. Inhale, raise your leg high. And exhale, slow step the foot between the palms at the top of the mat. Maybe bring that back toe in ever so slightly, then root down through the feet as you rise up to a high lunge. Dropping shoulders away from the ears. Scoop the core, pushing through the feet as you take your arms parallel, 45 degrees. Take a breath in. And exhale, moving as if there's resistance in the air. Take the arms back towards the right leg. Inhale, raise the arms back up. And exhale. Squeezing the glutes. Inhale. And exhale. This time, inhale, come all the way up slowly. Drop the back heel and open up to a warrior two. So positioning the feet on the mat so the knee isn't overshooting the ankle. So draw it back, center the weight between the hips. Open up the chest, lengthen from fingertip to fingertip, and energize all the way up the back leg. Take a breath in. And exhale to soften. And then inhale, reverse your warrior back. Keep the legs as they are, but bring forearm to thigh as you sweep the right arm down and around and peel the chest open. Inhale, reverse the warrior back. And exhale, transitioning to extended side angle. Inhale. And exhale. Good. This time, inhale, peel it back. And exhale, take the hands either side of the right foot. Shuffle the foot out to the side. Bring the left hand to the inside of the right foot. So coming into the lizard pose, squeezing the inner thighs together, rocking chest forward and backwards if that feels comfortable in the hip. If you're happy on the hands, stay on the hands. Otherwise, maybe you lower forearms to the ground. And then wherever you are, dropping the back knee down. Pointing the toes and reaching the left arm all the way back to take hold of the top of the right foot behind you. And if you don't catch the foot, it doesn't matter, but focus on peeling the chest open, drawing the heel towards you. And then releasing that hand down. You're going to drop the back heel. Start to walk your hands in. So this is Skandasana, or squat to the side. Energizing up through the inner thigh. Dropping the heel down if it works for you. But keeping it lifted if there's more space that way. Maybe you gather your hands to the center of the chest. And then placing them down to the floor. Take your foot back down. This time as you walk around, you drop the back knee. Point your toes back behind you. Send your hips forward and reach the arms over your head. And exhale, take the hips all the way back. Flex your toes towards you. Take a breath in and an exhale. Framing the foot at the top of the mat. Tuck your back toes, lift your knee. And take the 2 peace fingers around your big toe and draw the shoulder blade down the back of the rib cage. Drop to the outside of the back foot. And you can keep this left foot next to the hand, or you can start to pick it up and place it to the inner thigh. Finding a side plank Vashisthasana. Squeezing your glutes and maybe stepping that back foot away. Lifting through the center of the chest. Squeezing the glutes, creating space in the spine. Take an inhale breath. As you exhale, start to bring the hand and the knee back together. And then walk down to catch the big toe. Taking it slowly to the top of the mat. And then frame the foot. We're going to slide the left foot all the way up and back behind you. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Inhale, raise the leg high. And exhale, lower the foot to the floor. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And let it go. Drop the knees to the floor. Send your hips to your heels.
Walk the hands back and take a child's pose.
Reconnect to your breath. Soften and steady each inhalation and each exhalation. And then begin to walk your hands all the way around to the top of the mat.
Start to lift your hips away from your heels and take your hands forward and wide.
As you begin to melt your chest down towards the ground, Anahatasana, keeping the hips stacked over the knees.
The arms are off the floor, and either the forehead or the chin come to the ground as you melt your chest down. Take a nice deep breath in. A soft sigh, and then gently narrowing the forearms. Pick up through the lower abdomen, engage the core as you start to send your chest forward and drop the hips down to the mat for Sphinx pose. Maybe drawing the elbows in a little bit closer together so they sit underneath the shoulders. Lengthen through the back of the neck. It's very sort of gentle, passive back bend, keeping the chest open, sliding the shoulders down and away from the ears. Take an inhale. And exhale, lower the chest, turn one ear to the mat.
And feel the connection of the front of the body and the earth. And then turning the head back to center. Bring your big toes to touch and draw the inner thighs in towards each other. Then reach the hands behind your back and interlace the fingers. Try to keep the palms connected, but focus on drawing the shoulder blades down the back of the rib cage and opening up the front of the chest as you peel the upper body away from the floor. So inhale, lengthening. And exhale, softening. Take another breath. And exhale, release the shoulders. And place the hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes and send your hips to heels, pushing up to downward facing dog. Take a breath in through the nose. And open the mouth, big sigh. So then taking your right leg high on your next inhale. Bend your knee and open up the hip. Inhale, raise the leg high. Then bringing the shin to the top of the mat for pigeon pose. Walking the back leg away, pointing the toes. If this position is accessible to you, then you can be here, thinking about lifting out of the hips and gently folding down, walking the hands forward. If this doesn't work for you, you can come down onto the back of the body, placing the outside of the right foot onto the left thigh and taking a figure 4 stretch. Either way, whatever you choose. Let it be conscious, let it be mindful. If you're in pigeon pose, maybe use the breath to ripple up and down the spine. If you're in this figure 4, maybe you try to slide the shoulders away from the ears and get a greater sense of connection to the earth beneath you. If you're on your back, you can transition easily to the other side just from here. If you're on the front in your pigeon pose, then instead start to walk the hands back up towards the right leg. Tuck your back toes and send the right leg high. And just like we came into it, bend the knee, open up the hip. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, place it down onto the floor. And begin to raise the left leg high. Bend your knee and open up the hip. Inhale, raise the leg. And exhale, consciously deliver the shin to the top of the mat. Think about lengthening the chest forward, sending your right leg back. Maintaining that space through the front of the body. Squeezing the inner thighs together for support. Take another breath. Slowly lowering yourself to fold over the front leg. And it doesn't matter exactly where the shin is. It doesn't have to be parallel to the top of the mat. But hopefully you feel the space beginning to open up around the outer hip, the glutes. Maybe for you it's more in the hamstrings on one side or the other. But just allow yourself to kind of awaken to the sensations that already exist here but that you might not be noticing. So the parts of your body connecting to the ground, where there's space, where there's resistance, where there's opportunity to soften a little bit more into the pose. And then walking your hands up if you're in pigeon. If you're on the back of the body, stay as you are, hug both knees into the chest. If the left foot is at the top of the mat, take it all the way up and back behind you. Bend your knee. Open the hip. And then inhale, raise it high. As you exhale, touch it down to the floor, but start to walk your feet all the way to the top of the mat. Eventually bending your knees, taking your seat to the ground and rolling down onto the back of the body. Taking a couple of breaths to arrive, swaying from side to side. And then lengthen the left leg onto the floor. Take your hands and just shuffle your hips to the right side. Draw your right knee across the body to the left side like we did when we started the class. Take the gaze over the right shoulder. Maybe there's a little bit more space here this time. Maybe it feels just the same. There's no right, no wrong. And then inhale, come back to center. Swap to the other side, lengthening right leg down, bring left knee into the chest. Shifting the hips a little to the left as you draw the knee over to the right. And then come back to center. Place the soles of the feet to the ground. Draw your shoulder blades down the back of the body. And tuck your tailbone slightly, draw the lower abdomen in. Making sure you can connect the hands to the heels. Start to push into the hands and the feet and lift your hips from the floor. Interlacing the hands underneath you to draw the outer arms underneath the body and lifting you onto the tops of your shoulders. Keep your knees pointing forwards in the same direction as your toes. Gentle squeeze of the glutes, finding space in the front of the body. Using the support of the back body to open up through the chest. Take an inhale. And then slowly lower yourself down, releasing the hands. Widening the feet and letting the knees drop in towards each other. Take a breath in. And a sigh to let it go. And then you can choose to repeat the same pose. Or if you'd like to take a full wheel, bring the hands up towards the shoulders. Keep the knees and toes pointing forward as you use your breath. Push into the hands and the feet. Starting to bring yourself up into a full wheel if it is in your practice. Using the breath, keeping it steady. Imagining you're supporting the space in the back of the chest. Take another inhale. Exhale, tuck your chin. And slowly lower yourself down onto the ground. Taking the feet wide. Resting hands on the thighs and letting the knees drop in towards each other. Maybe taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And a big sigh to let it go. You can take a final round if it feels good in your body today. But eventually we're going to come to meet in Supta Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet together, the knees dropping out to the sides. So just letting the spine neutralize first. And then when it feels good, drop the knees to the sides. Maybe taking the arms over the head, catching opposite elbows. Or just letting one hand rest on the chest and one on the navel. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. When you arrive here, just close the eyes. And study your breath. So even though now we're here in relative stillness, can you be just as conscious with the placement of your body and your breath in the space around you? And then in the next couple of moments, the next few breaths, you start to just become even more in tune to what it might be that your body needs before making your way down onto the ground for Shavasana. If you practice inversions, maybe now is a good time for an inversion. And if you don't have an inversion practice yet, then a really beautiful restorative inversion is to take yourself to a wall, bring your hips up nice and close, and take the heels up onto the wall. Maybe you're just happy to be here. Whatever it is that you need, now is the time to offer that to yourself, to close your practice in a way that feels right and true to you in this moment. There's nothing that you should do, nothing that is required of you, but just staying completely aware of the breath and the sensations of this experience, and allowing yourself to be fully in the moment, wherever that is for you. And if the knees are still dropped out to the side, gently bring your hands down and start to close the legs together with the support of the arms. Widening the feet, letting the knees drop in. Feel the spread of the back of the body against the ground. And wherever You may be starting to think about any counter poses or any alternative movements that you want to make before starting to bring yourself down onto the mat. Letting the feet rest on the ground, feeling the back of the body connect to the mat, to the earth. Drawing the shoulder blades down the back of the body, spreading the shoulders wide and opening up the chest. The palms face up. Our jaw softens as you take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And a gentle sigh to let it go. And if that felt good, you can take another. But eventually you let all of the effort go from your body. All of the awareness of the breath drop away. And we come to complete stillness now. Complete quiet. As we allow ourselves these final minutes of practice in Shavasana. You can't stay here too long. So take all the time that you need. But when you are ready, begin to deepen the breath again. And just let that be an invitation of your awareness to come back to the experience of being here. To noticing the sensations. To awakening yourself to all that already exists. By just noticing simple parts of the experience. Maybe you begin to wiggle the toes and the fingers again. And stretch the arms over your head, taking a full body stretch. Bringing the knees in towards your chest. Squeezing them in nice and tight, having a little rock from side to side. And perhaps falling gently onto one side of the body. Keeping the eyes closed and just pausing here for a breath or two. And then pushing into the top hand. Keeping the head heavy and maybe the eyes closed or at least the gaze soft. As you bring yourself back to a comfortable seat, drawing the navel in, lengthening the spine and gathering the hands to the center of the chest. As we take this moment to acknowledge the consciousness that we've created in our practice, how can we offer that now forwards into the rest of our day, into our actions, our relationships? Make an offering or an intention here to share that beyond our practice. taking the yoga off the mat into the world where it really counts. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose and let it go with a big sigh. Namaste.